Singer, songwriter, and guitarist Tim Turner has been performing in the Seattle area since the 1960s. He's one of the members of Crystal Sect and a famous Seattle band, Child. He is hosting the annual West Seattle reunion, and he took a few minutes to reminisce on the Better Each Day podcast radio show.
Welcome to the Better Each Day podcast radio show with Bruce Hilliard. Today and every day, reaching out for innovative ideas in every way. Today's show is brought to you by your future. It comes with a lifetime guarantee. Make a better each day now, baby. Better in every way.
Won't you be my neighbor?
Yes.
Won't you?
Mr. McFeely will be coming over and we're going to feed the fish. Well, let me ask you this. I wanted to play some of your music, and do you have a preference? Should we be doing?
Oh, you know what? I would, anything that you're hearing that you think, I would prefer you to pick something, and anything is okay that you have. I have no idea what you have, but I'd just as soon be surprised and play. I have no preference.
Okay.
That's a long answer to the short question.
Yeah. Well, is there current Tim Turner stuff that I have access to on like YouTube or something like that?
Well, you know, there's a bunch of stuff on YouTube. I don't go there much. I've seen things on there from me. Some I like, some I wonder, would that be up there for the rest of my life? You know, some of the stuff is cool, and some of it, you know, you wish you would have been better. I find some of the best stuff that's been recorded is when we don't know we're being recorded.
Yeah.
And then you don't have a tendency. A lot of times it's so weird. There's been times I've been playing live and somebody's brought some equipment out and we're trying to record, and just, man, you just think about the recording too much. So the best things have been when people say, hey, just, yeah, on YouTube, I record you. But no, I don't have anything. I don't know. So anything, if you hear anything on there, any Child music, well, there is a song called Born on a River.
Yeah. Okay. I already captured that one.
That's one of my favorites. That's a Child song.
We got a song we like to play that was written by a good friend of ours who used to play music with us a few years ago. One of our favorite tunes is called Born on a River. One, two, four. 1, 2, 3.
Just dive on in. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Randy Ballard.
Okay, and there was even a Crystal Sect song. I don't know if you know that's on YouTube.
Well, no, I didn't. Is it one is called Days and Weeks, and what's called What Time Is It? Yeah, we actually are the bass player who, when I left home when I was 16, I lived with his family. We recorded that in 1968, and downtown at Connie Barton's studio on 4th Avenue was called Audio Recording. First time ever in a recording studio, and I think it was really one of the first professional recording studios in the Northwest, and a lot of local bands recorded there. And we recorded the song, and we'd never been in the studio before, and he's actually found 36 copies of the 45.
Oh, really?
A lot of people don't know what a 45 is, and he's going to bring them tomorrow to one of our rehearsals, and we're going to sign them.
Oh, cool.
But, I got a really quick story about that record. Can I tell you what it is?
Yeah.
Anyway, we recorded it, so we finally had the acetate, and it sounded good. So we got some copies printed up, and we went down to KJR on a Saturday morning, and we were like, this would have been 1967 or 68, right in there. And we went to KJR and talked to a guy named Lan Roberts, who was a disc jockey, and he listened to about half of it, and he said, well, boys, pretty good. I'll tell you what I'll do. I will play this record on Monday morning, and we'll have our listeners call in and see what they think of it. And we couldn't believe we were going to get played on KJR.
Yeah.
That was like, didn't get any better than that.
Oh, that's the coolest thing ever.
So we called everybody we knew. We told our family, our friends. We told people we didn't even know about it. And he said, we'll play it sometime around the 7 o'clock hour. So we all got up at 4 in the morning. So we'd make sure we didn't miss it before school. And we gathered around the radio, and it's, 6, and it's going towards 7. And then when 7 hit, we all thought the next thing we're going to hear on the radio is going to be
you guys
the song.
Yeah.
And then 7:10, then 7:15, 7:30, and then 1:45, and then for sake time to get going to school. Never played it. We're all dejected, and So we faced all of our friends that day. Oh yeah, man, you got records going to be played. And they said we stayed up, and we got up early to listen to it. And we did call when we got home from school and talked to some secretary who had no idea what we were talking about it. And she said, "Oh, I think it got lost in the shuffle, boys. We're sorry." So that was my introduction to the music business.
So what song was it?
It was the day. Well, we recorded 2 songs, A side and the B side. I think the A side would be considered Days and Weeks, and that one was written by Tom Hopp, our bass player.
And here it is, coming at you from 1968, Days and Weeks with Crystal Sect.
Days and weeks don't mean too much now. Since you're gone, I live alone. People say hi, but I just walk by. They can't see I'm on my own. Once you loved me and I loved you. Days and weeks were happy then. Days and weeks that went by so slowly, it seemed that they could never end.
The other one was What Time Is It? A song that I wrote. And so we've actually been, I hadn't heard him forever, and we've been practicing on him, and we're actually going to play him Saturday night at the West Seattle reunion.
Who sings lead on those?
Tom Hopp, the bass player,
yeah,
and his voice sounds really cool. I couldn't believe how good it sounded. When I listened to mine, I actually thought back then, I guess you always think you sound pretty good. And I mean, I know how much of an ego, but listening to it now, I have to, I don't know whether to laugh or cry, but it does reflect the time. And I'm going to try to sing it in the same whiny voice that I sang it when we recorded it.
So how old were you?
I'm sure.
How old were you when you recorded it?
I think it was 17, I would say.
Because I have a picture of you guys. You're sitting in the bucket of a bulldozer.
Yes.
And it looks like...
Yeah, that's me on the very right-hand side with the Beatle jacket on, kind of looking away. And then the other guy. Yeah, I love that picture.
It's
and
great.
I barely, the corners of my mind, remember our Dave Coleman, fabulous drummer. He, his father took that down. I think we were somewhere down by Alki.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you must have been having the time of your life while you were doing that.
Oh, it was great. I mean, it was for being young, but you know, you're young, but you feel like you're old. I mean, I thought I had this thing, if by 20 or 21 I wasn't a star, I was going to quit music and get a real job. But of course, I never did anything else other than play music. But yeah, we were having a good time. You know, we played, there's a place called Hiawatha field house up by West, connected to the West Seattle High School. I believe it's still there, but Hiawatha, and they had dances on Friday nights. I believe it was the last Friday of the month. But we were the first band to ever, up until we showed up, they played records. And you'd walk around in a circle. On the outside, it was in the gymnasium, Hiawatha Playhouse. And then on the inside, if you were bold enough, you would dance. Yeah. And it was one of those classic things where the chaperones and teachers would come up and separate you. You really couldn't be getting too close. And that was always kind of fun to be able to kind of dance your way over into a corner and do what they didn't want you to be doing. But we actually got to be the first live band, the Crystal Sect, to play there. And we had 3 guitar players and no bass players. And I had this tiny little amplifier that I thought, gosh, all these amplifiers I see on TV, they look really big. So I had a friend that had a big old speaker cabinet. It was about 3 feet by 3 feet. My cabinet was about 6 inches by 6 inches. So I just stuck my amplifier behind it to make it look like I was playing out of a big amplifier.
It's a stack of Marshalls. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I didn't even know what a Marshall was back then, but that Fender had the really cool amplifiers, the Bassman and the Bandmasters. Yeah. Back then, those are the ones everybody wanted.
They're still good amps, yeah.
Yeah, and then when the Super Beetle came out, I thought that was the best thing I'd ever seen in my life. And looking at them now, you don't see many around because they're so rare. I had a couple of friends that have them. They really weren't that big, but they were on this kind of chrome stand with wheels that made them look big, and you could kind of tilt them back. They had an axis thing you could kind of point them back, but yeah.
It was like 100.
Those were good old times.
100 watts or something. It was like a mega amp. Way too loud for a stage, actually.
Definitely.
So, after Crystal Sect, what did you do? Did you go directly into Child, or was it? I've got a feeling you played
Child started in 1970. I graduated in 1969. Okay. Child started in 1970, and I was living in West Seattle, across from Bethlehem Steel Mill, and a buddy of mine, Bob Rice, who actually happens to be in the Crystal Sect, we ran into each other up in the West Seattle Junction. He said, "Hey Tim, I was just up at this music store up in Burien, Johnny Kern's Music, and there was a notice on the board for a band looking for a guitar player, and they had everybody, but they couldn't find a guitar player they liked. And so I ran, me and my brother Ronzo, good friend Ron Larson, conga player, ran up to this music store, and the post was still up there. It said, looking for a guitar player, must have his shit together and must be fast." So I called, struck up an immediate friendship with these guys, and we moved out and lived in their they had a little shack in the back where they kept lawn furniture and lawnmowers, and we lived there for a couple months, and that's how I heard about Child. And that would have been 1970. I was 19.
I played Tavern circuit in probably 74 through, 78, 79, something like that. And I'd see your promo pictures up, but I never did hear you guys.
Yeah, we were playing a lot. A lot of people had heard of us, but never heard us because we were working. We played not only in Seattle, but our first road trip in 1970 was to Boise, Idaho, and that was like going to the moon for most of us. I mean, if you played in Seattle and went to Tacoma, that was like a real big step. You were taking a road trip. But yeah, we played just about every venue, high school proms, and quite a few concerts all over the Northwest. Made it as far as let's see. We went to went down to Texas, in Arizona. We played in Austin. We played in Oklahoma City, Lincoln, Nebraska, up in Canada, and traveled throughout the Western United States.
I'm an Aberdeen boy. Do you remember playing Aberdeen?
The Rocking Horse.
That's it.
The Rocker. It was either called the Rocker or the Rocking Horse. I totally remember that.
Yeah, originally.
That was a ways to go too.
Yeah.
Because there's that stretch of road after you would turn off a 5. It's quite improved now. But there was about a 10-mile of stretch. It looked like that road in the Twilight Zone movie where there's no lights. And one night we were driving, and Mick had traded his keyboard for this very cool I think it was a 67 Cadillac limousine. And the only thing that didn't work on it was the speedometer, and the guy's driving it. And we got pulled over one night, and Rick, and he's got this leopard skin suit on, and they're passed out in the back, and the cop looked in the window, and he just burst out laughing. And instead of giving us a ticket, he just said, hey, I explained to him what we were doing, and obviously made a good impression. He said, well, just slow it down. But yeah, that was a fun. We always had fun down in Aberdeen. People like to rock.
Yeah, you don't need a speedometer in Aberdeen.
Yeah, we had the power windows, everything, but the only thing that didn't work was the darn speedometer. So we just went as fast as we could go.
It sounds like a cool car.
Point A to point B.
Here's a fun question for you. Would you rather have a really cool car, a vacation home, a fancy watch, all that kind of stuff, or a band?
Well, something about a band, when it's a real band, it's kind of a family vibe, and you really can't beat it. There's a lot to be said for it, and as good as it can be, obviously, it can be just as bad. Back in the day when we were playing in Child, there'd be five. Say if there was four of us, everybody would have. If one guy had $1, everybody had 25 cents. Nowadays, if one guy's $1, one guy has $1, and everybody else doesn't have anything. The whole vibe of the band thing in some bands, and there are some that are really close, but to answer it, I mean, having a good band and good friends, it's pretty special. It's like having a family. Everybody looks after each other, and it can be really good, and it can just as bad in certain situations.
So this class reunion, it's not even a class reunion, I guess it's an all-class reunion for West Seattle High School. What's your position in this? You're the busiest guy in town that I know of right now.
Yeah, well, I went to West Seattle High School, graduated in '69. This is actually, which I have a hard time actually getting the words out of my mouth, the 50 year reunion, but it's more than that. We're looking at it as, West Seattle High School is 102 years old this year, so it can be looked at as birthday. And we're inviting people to this. We're calling it the after reunion party, because the main thing run by the school and everything is done up at the school. But then there's various parties, and we've usually had I've hosted some of the biggest ones they've had that aren't totally affiliated with the school, sanctioned by them, but people from there come out and support it. And it's going to be this Saturday, June 1st, at the Whiskey West on California and Fauntleroy down there in the Morgan Street Junction in West Seattle. And what we like to do is just get different entertainment, different people to sing, and then sometimes people get up and tell a few stories, and it's been really cool. We've had it in different locations over the year, and this is going to be my last year of hosting. I figured after 50 years I would pass the torch on to somebody younger, and a young lady named Therese Mockmiller from the class, I believe, 1980. She's been co-hosting and doing a lot of the behind-the-scene work, getting the party going. We're gonna find somebody to be hosting it. So this will be my last year doing it. So we got the Crystal Sect back together. It just happens to be that Bob, one of the guitar players, he lives down in Oregon, but he's playing up at in a coffee house up in West Seattle on Friday night. But he's playing up here, so it works out for him. And other guys live in West Seattle. Dave Coleman's coming from down by Shelton to come up and play. So we're going to be doing about 4 or 5 songs. We're going to do our 2 songs from our record, Days and Weeks and What Time Is It? And then we're going to be doing some, picking some classic tunes as well to play. I think we're going to try Light My Fire. Mark Orson, the keyboard player, he's excellent. And that's a song that we used to do back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to try to pick songs from the era.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Brown Eyed Girl. I think everybody played that song too.
Yeah, that's definitely one that that we're going to. And we have a guy, Mike McElhoy, who used to be the man called the Nightmates, and we're going to be doing Feel a Whole Lot Better, Susie Q, Brown Eyed Girl, Margaritaville, and if we can figure it out, California Dreamin'. We're all working on that one right now.
How many musicians are involved?
All together, let's see. There's going to be 5 in the Crystal Sect, and then Kevin Mason is going to be coming up. He's a former member of Child. He was also in the production of Hair back in the day that traveled all over the United States, and he's a great talent. He's going to be doing some songs. And then we got a few individuals. There's going to be a dozen or more different people. And we're expecting somebody from out, in the audience, somebody wants to come up and sing a song if they got a favorite song, or sing some backup. It's kind of open to everybody. And you don't have to be a alum of West Seattle High School. This is open to the public, and there's no cover charge. And it's going to start at about 7, and we're going to go until there's nobody left in there.
Sounds like fun. A dear friend of mine, Graham Haight, is a graduate of West Seattle High School, and he's the one that told me about this. And he said, "Get a hold of it." I totally remember the name. If I saw him, I got a Kimtaw. I'm going to be taken up there. Actually, it's a brand new one. I had the best one that I got from '69. It was just packed with remembrances and people signing my Kimtaw. And about 15 or 20 years ago, I had to go get some piece of ID, and I had to show them to get a new birth certificate. So I took my Kimtaw, and then that night I was doing a show, and I rushed home and I put a bunch of stuff on top of my car as I was loading and unloading. And unfortunately, my Kimtaw was one of the things I lost, and I felt bad about it. So last year there was an ad in the Chinook that they sent me that somebody had some new Kimtaws from certain years, and there was actually a couple left from '69. So I went and bought it. So I'm going to set up it in a little corner, and I'm going to ask anybody that would like to sign my Kimtaw. That's interesting. You'll have like updated signatures.
Yeah, exactly. So what have you been doing for the last 50 years? Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Boy, we put a lot of work into getting this thing together between your schedule and my computer.
You know what? I really appreciate you taking the time, and maybe we could do something again.
Yeah.
And I'll have more of I have this table in front of me, but it's filled with song lyrics, songs, notes, and all this stuff. But we could maybe do one a little bit more into the child thing. I got some great stories that maybe we could talk about. And I plan on putting another CD out here. Hopefully, I got the songs for it. It's just not getting the backing right now. So it'd be great to do this again.
Sounds great. Go ahead and review the location and times and everything.
Yes, the function for the West Seattle reunion party is going to be this Saturday, June 1st, starting at 7 p.m. Kevin Mason is going to kick it off, and it is going to be at the Whiskey West on California and Fauntleroy, down by what used to be called the Corner Inn. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned everybody's name from the Crystal Sect. We got Tom Hopp, Dave Coleman, Bob Rice, Mark Orson, and myself. And I definitely want to thank Therese Mockmiller, who's going to be singing a couple songs. We have a couple surprise songs she's going to do. Michael McElhoy, they used to be in a band called the Nightmates. He's going to be doing some tunes. And I think I mentioned Kevin, and there's going to be some surprises. So that's this Saturday, and we're looking forward to seeing as many people down there as possible.
That sounds fun. Are you going to bring back Jim Morrison to do Light My Fire?
We actually got a really good vocalist. That is not an easy song to sing.
No,
and my bass player from the Crystal Sect and Mark are in a band called The Beaters, and they have a fabulous lead singer. I wish I could remember his name, but they do that in their show, so we're going to bring him up, which is good. We like to get as many people involved as possible. He's going to get up and sing that particular song.
That sounds like it's worth the price of admission right there. I might just show up. You never know.
Yeah, I hope to see if you do come up and say hi. Okay.
Yeah, I will definitely.
Okay, I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody listening, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon, and wishing everybody peace and love out there.
All right, thanks a lot, Tim.
Thank you so much, Bruce.
listening to the Better Each Day podcast radio show with Bruce Hilliard. We'll be back with a new horizon, but until then, honor the future. It comes with a lifetime guarantee.
And we're all just trying to make the next day a bit better.